What's going on, everyone? I hope everyone is having an amazing weekend so far. Happy Saturday. In today's video, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, the large L1 tokens. We're going to talk about what is moving the market, what needs to happen for Bitcoin price to continue moving upwards, what levels to look for to the downside, and some important technical indicators and patterns that I basically watch to see a continued move upside or downside on Bitcoin. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the video. Number one, let's take a look at the inflow and outflow. So currently, you can see that this is basically the weekly crypto asset flows. And for the past 2 weeks, clearly we've been below. We've been having a lot of outflow. The main thing that we basically have to look for on these charts is anything below 100. So last week, before this week, was over 100 in outflows. That basically signaled that the next week, which is this week, was also going to be negative. That's exactly what happened. So prior, when we had that big bounce, we had a big, strong week, over 100 million in inflow. The next week was also over 100 million. So keep this chart in mind. This is a very, very important thing to look at, the crypto asset flows. All right, so there's that for this. Here is a pretty interesting article. We can see a Google Trends chart, and basically it shows that worldwide searches for Bitcoin have reached mid-2020 levels as of April 22nd, 2022. With readings of 17 for the week of April 17th to April 23rd, this is a relative drop from May 2021's reading of 76. So currently we can see Bitcoin's overall search, people are Googling Bitcoin way less at the moment, which again is not that great for the price of Bitcoin. Also, basically taking a look at this chart here, we can see hodled or lost coins compared to the price of Bitcoin. When this yellow line, which is the hodled or lost coins, is generally higher than the price, that is usually a very good sign for the price of Bitcoin. Whenever we were below, usually what ends up happening is Bitcoin tends to correct. So now I'm not saying this is going to end up falling all the way back to the yellow line. Obviously that would be around 10K, but it's not the most bullish setup. And of course, this is a brand new data metric as well, because a lot of funds and big money are now involved in crypto. So they aren't necessarily going to be as volatile as much of retail that was for the past, 10 years. So this is just a very interesting data point to look at. Funds and banks, etc., can be holding much longer term, and they won't be as, volatile again. So, but it's just very interesting to see how we currently are in a bearish setup currently in terms of hodled and lost coins to the price of Bitcoin. So it's something to take into consideration. Now let's take a look at the fun stuff. So something that I like to look at is the weekly chart. On Bitcoin, I'll look at the weekly, and then I change the candles to Heikin-Ashi. So what we have here is now every time in history that we've had, almost every single time, except very, very few times, unless like the market was very, very stagnant, right? But for the past 2 years now, every single time we've had a green candle on the Heikin-Ashi on the weekly, we've always had a second consecutive green candle, which means that as long as one candle is green on Bitcoin's Heikin-Ashi, another one has a very, very high chance of also being green. So this is something very interesting to watch for the momentum to the upside, and that's something that we have to be looking out for. So just keep that in mind. The weekly Heikin-Ashi bars, really interesting to look for. So the other indicator that I like to look at is the CM Williams VIX Fix. So what this indicator basically shows is market bottoms. It uses the momentum and it shows a shift in momentum. And once the momentum shifts from red to green, they start to make green candles. So obviously it's not the best sign. It doesn't always work. But in the past, whenever we've had multiple green candles, it's signaled bottoms, and then from those green candles we have then turned gray, and then as we turn gray the market bounces. So multiple times as that's happened, this is usually what ends up happening. Not the cleanest, but it has happened multiple times in the future or in the past. We can see it happened over here. We can see it happened back here as well at this bottom. We can see it happened back here at this bottom. So, we can also see that it happened back here at this bottom. It signaled a big rally into the future. Called the bottom back here at around 3,000. So this is something, again, nice to look at. Not the cleanest indicator to look at, but it's good to see which way the momentum is shifting. But at the moment, we don't have a green candle, which means that the momentum is still bearish. So until we get some sort of a green signal, things still look bearish in terms of the overall trend and momentum and strength of Bitcoin. So again, the CM Williams VIX Fix, pretty good indicator. Definitely look at that on the weekly chart. And it works pretty well on 24-hour markets. So you can put that on the ES, the NASDAQ, the NQ, on the futures charts, and you can see market bottoms on that as well. So keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin and the other L1 coins. So these are layer 1 tokens, which are other blockchains. And when these are doing well, Bitcoin also does well. So first of all, let's go ahead and just take a quick look at Bitcoin. All right. At the moment, Bitcoin has important level at 39,600. Very, very clearly, right? Now, when taking a look at the MACD indicator, the MACD shows the momentum. The MACD is pointed lower, and Bitcoin is sitting at very important support at the moment. What needs to end up happening right now for Bitcoin to have any sort of bullish momentum is within a day or two, Bitcoin needs to break and close above 41,000. So Bitcoin, even though we have a lot of downside momentum like this right here from the MACD, to over bear that momentum, Bitcoin needs to have a very, very strong move to the upside. The likelihood of this happening is not that high, but that is the only thing that I can see for Bitcoin's price to continue moving upwards. We need a close above 41,000. If that doesn't happen, what's going to end up happening is we're going to come back, retest 40,500, and then it would just be a better shorting opportunity up here, and then Bitcoin's price would continue falling lower. What is most frightening, though, is that the MACD indicator has not yet even crossed down below. So when we do cross below, obviously that is known as a bearish crossover. The fact that that hasn't happened yet, and Bitcoin has already had multiple strong red days, is very, very bearish for Bitcoin's price, especially because Fed Powell is extremely hawkish. And because he's very hawkish, he's basically insinuating that there's going to be many more rate hikes. They can happen much faster than necessary and then scheduled. That's why the market is pricing in and showing a lot of weakness at the moment. So basically, if we don't break above 41,000 very quickly, it's going to be very, very bad. And then Bitcoin is going to come and retest this very important zone here between 37 to 38,000. If on Monday, essentially, the stock market as well is also very bearish, then this trend line here is just going to be really, really not do much. This zone, in my opinion, is not going to hold if the stock market also breaks. And we have to take a look at that as well. But right now, if this current level of support at the moment is not going to hold, then we're going to come back to this zone at around 37 to 38, which also coincides pretty perfectly with this downtrend line. So that is the closest level of support to the downside first. So there's that for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the other altcoins. So Ethereum also very similarly looks garbage, right? Sitting at support. The MACD has not yet crossed down lower. Doesn't look great. Solana, similar to Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Not much to look at. Sitting at $100. There's a lot more room to the downside. Not, the best setup, right? ADA, very similar. Not the best setup. Not showing too much strength. But now things are getting a little bit interesting with these. So DOT is starting to show a bit of strength. All right. things are starting to look a bit better for these other L1 coins, especially with Luna. So on April 18th, Luna made a very, very strong 18% jump. When Luna made this jump here, Bitcoin was trading down here at around 38,000-ish area. Luna started to pump. That is what caused Bitcoin to have a green close above 40,600 and then continued move to the upside. So Luna, in my opinion, was a strong factor of why Bitcoin showed a lot of strength. And clearly, currently, we can see Luna is also showing continued strength. It's holding above the 38.2% fib line. And this is a very healthy consolidation for potentially another move to the upside. So even if we hold this 87.6 level on Luna, we can continue moving on upwards. That'd be really, really good. AVAX, similar to the others, Solana and ADA and Ethereum, not doing much. Basically following Bitcoin in price. Algo, same thing. But then Tron had a big pop on the 21st, whereas Luna had a big pop on the 18th. DOT also had basically a big pop on the 18th. Tron followed, had a big pop on the 21st. So these coins basically take turns pumping. And when they are all showing a lot of strength, it's a good sign that Bitcoin is also going to show strength. So just keep that in mind. Currently, we have strength out of Tron, Luna, DOT. Hopefully, that would cause Bitcoin to show some sort of a bottom soon. If we do fall down to 37 to 38,000, there should be a lot of strength and further upside potentially. Hopefully, these levels can hold. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the stock market. And now, just very quickly on the SPY, the S&P 500. If the SPY ends up testing between 420 to 423, because currently we are very, very bearish on the market. We've closed down below this zone, and it looks like we're about to also close below 425. If we end up testing between 420 to 423 on the SPY, that should cause Bitcoin to end up testing 37 to 38,000, in my opinion. We just have to see how strong the correlation is going to be. Of course, once futures open Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll get a better understanding of where the market is. But currently, the entire stock market is showing weakness. But everything in the stock market is very, very overextended to the downside. We fell from 450 to 426, which is a 24-point move within 2 days on the SPY, which is approximately a 5.5% drop on the stock market within 2 days. Usually when this happens, there should be a bit of a relief bounce. Let's see if that bounce is enough for Bitcoin to end up breaking and closing above 41,000. If that is the case, the stock market should continue showing strength. But of course, nothing is really a guarantee. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Again, thank you guys so much for all of your support. I really, really appreciate it. If you guys like this video, if there's anything else that you guys would want me to go over, take a look at. Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing these way more often, covering Bitcoin and the L1 coins, because they are legitimately, they're very, very important to take a look at. And you can't just only blatantly look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. These other L1 coins are very, very important to look at as well. So if one of them have a random pop, like we saw with Luna, that was basically a big catalyst of why Bitcoin reversed from 38,000. And that's another reason why I want to start making these crypto videos a lot more often. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much.